You think your condo is tiny? Take a look at this one, designed by Kimberley.
120 square feet. That doesn't sound like very much space for a living room, but if you ask me, it's enough for a living room, a dining room, and an office. To prove it, this is a project we recently took on for clients. It's an urban pied-à-terre. They have a big house in the country, and the whole thing started with these two beautiful chairs. They're Art Deco style, very formal, very sophisticated. I love the men's suiting fabric, the silver gray on there, so we used it as a jumping off point for the draperies. One of my favorite fabrics is a fine wool, and you can see how handsome they are. Now, to filter the sunlight and to give a lot of flexibility to the space, we do have the automated shades, so those can come down with a push of a button and go back up in the evening time. And the living room also has, of course, seating. You've got to have comfortable seating. We've got a handsome tuxedo sofa. Those high arms make it formal. Lots of different fabrics in the cushions at the back, as well as beautiful table lamps to help set the right mood. And then moving over here, I'm now in the dining room. This is a lovely walnut table. We've got 3 seats around it and a bench on this side, so you really can sit all the way around the table. And just to make sure it's as flexible as possible, we've actually got a chair over here that sits in the office area, which can be pulled over to the dining area. So 120 square feet, don't let it intimidate you.
Once again, how many square feet, Kimberly?
Well, the whole condo is something like 700 square feet, but that area was 120 square feet. And I find one of the hang-ups people have about a small space is they think they can't put a lot of furniture in it because it'll look small. But you still require the same functionality. You still need a sofa, and you need somewhere to put your feet, you need somewhere to put a drink. So, in fact, once you start putting furniture in, the place actually feels bigger than it did before there was furniture there.
Also being monochromatic. If you keep everything in the same color palette, everything just recedes within each other. If you have like a bright sofa with a different color wall, then it's going to feel claustrophobic.
Exactly. And we were saying too, like when you've had the big house, it can be really liberating to move into the small space and just kind of feel like you're living the urban life and, you know, walking to restaurants and walking to the grocery store. There's something really amazing about that.
Purging.
Yeah, getting rid of all of that extra stuff that you don't necessarily need. Now, you did a lot of smart things in this condo. In that particular room, you had a bench around the table so you can hide that seat completely and people can walk around it.
Exactly.
Another chair that you could bring in when they have company. These are the sorts of things you have to think of when you have a small space, right?
And in fact, it's funny because you think you're going to have a huge house, you need a designer, and you probably do, but actually when you're in a really tiny space, you really better make sure you've thought it through carefully. So that's when I think you really should hire someone, at least get a plan from a professional, and even if you're going to execute it yourself.
Well, the biggest problem is people buy furniture that's too big. They go to a showroom and the store is huge and they see the sofa and say, that's perfect. And first of all, they can't fit it in the door.
Or the elevator.
Or the elevator. And you
happens.
really have to look at what the proportions are. You really have to lay it out. And if you can't draw, lay it out in newspaper on the floor and then measure that and see how that feels. But don't go out unless you know the dimensions.
Yeah, it's too big a purchase to do that and then not be able to fit it.
You can't make a mistake. There's no basement to hide it in. That's the problem with it.
It's sitting in the lobby of your building. You know, it's a problem.
We're going to go back now to the small condo, Kimberley Design, and take a look at the kitchen.
Of course, it can be intimidating when you're purchasing a new condo to go to the builder's office and make all of your selections. Oftentimes, you can find some great neutral basics like the countertop you see here and the wonderful cabinets. But once in a while, it's worth breaking out of the box for a splurge, and that's what we did in the backsplash. We selected this one, which I think looks like two of my favorite things, chocolate and jewelry. I think it makes the kitchen.
Beautiful. Let's go to break. We've got more great design coming up on Monday. Stay with us.